Welcome to the Explainer. We're diving straight into a massive tug-of-war happening right now across the digital landscape. Look, we all know the old Web2 deal, right? You get free services, and in return, they harvest mountains of your data. Now, Web3 is stepping up, promising to flip that entirely by giving you true ownership of your assets and your identity using blockchain. But that introduces a really fascinating complication.
So here is the million-dollar question. In a system literally built to show absolutely everything, how exactly do you hide? That's the core tension of Web3 right there. Blockchains are built from the ground up on radical transparency. So if everything has to be out in the open to prevent fraud, what happens to your personal privacy? Let's figure it out.
All right, let's jump into Chapter 1, the Web3 privacy paradox.
Think about your traditional bank for a second. It's basically a locked vault behind closed doors. You are relying entirely on institutional trust to keep your account balance a secret. A blockchain, on the flip side, is essentially a giant public notice board standing right in the middle of a crowded town square. Every single transaction, whether someone's selling yams or buying rice, is written on that board for the entire village to see. Everyone can verify it, and nobody can secretly erase it. Now that creates incredible, undeniable trust, but it also means your money is constantly on public display.
Which brings us to Chapter 2, the myth of anonymity.
Look, a lot of folks jumping into crypto think they've got this magical invisibility cloak. Spoiler alert, they don't. Blockchains are pseudonymous, meaning you use an identifier, like a wallet address, instead of your actual name. It's kind of like a classroom where all the students are given numbers instead of their real names. You are Student 101. At first, nobody in the school knows who Student 101 is. But the very second you raise your hand in the hallway and say, "Hey, my name is John and I'm Student 101, boom. Suddenly, every single test score and action tied to that number is permanently and publicly linked to John. And in Web3, your Student 101 badge looks exactly like this, a super long string of letters and numbers. But make absolutely no mistake, this isn't just a random string of characters. This is your entire financial identity on the blockchain. And it carries an enormous amount of weight because anyone in the world can look it up at literally any time.
So how does John actually end up doxing himself to the world? Well, the tech itself rarely leaks your identity. It's usually just us, everyday human actions. First up, KYC on cryptocurrency exchanges. When you sign up, you have to hand over your government ID. Second, social media. People just drop their wallet addresses on public platforms to get donations. Third, businesses publishing their payment addresses online. And finally, just personal oversharing. We literally can't resist posting a screenshot of some cool new digital asset we bought. Once those off-chain actions connect your real name to your wallet address, that invisible cloak falls off completely.
Moving right along to Chapter 3, what everyone can see.
Let's do a quick x-ray of the situation. What can random strangers actually see on a public blockchain? Well, they can see wallet addresses, the exact transaction amounts moving around, the timestamps, the dates, and your total balances sitting right there in those wallets. But what stays hidden? Your real name, your physical home address, your email, and your government ID. So yeah, your actual passport isn't taped to the blockchain, but your entire financial behavior and your exact net worth, totally out in the open for anyone who decides to peek.
It's really like this. Every single transaction leaves a footprint in wet sand, except because blockchain records are permanent, this sand never dries, and the footprints never wash away. These visible data points create massive historical trails. In fact, advanced blockchain analytics firms can literally trace illicit funds through thousands of wallets in a matter of seconds. They build incredibly detailed behavioral profiles tracking exactly where your digital feet have walked, forever.
And that kind of permanence carries some serious real-world baggage. Visible wealth is essentially a giant magnet for scammers. If a bad actor can see a massive balance in your public wallet, you instantly become a target. They use this visible data to launch highly targeted social engineering attacks. Like if they see your wallet frequently interacts with a certain game, they might slide into your messages pretending to be from that game's dev team to build trust and steal your funds. Because the blockchain is permanent, any mistake you make can basically haunt you indefinitely.
Okay, so how do we fix this? Chapter 4, Tools for Your Protection. Let's get into the playbook.
Honestly, the absolute best defense is surprisingly low-tech. It's called the multiple wallet strategy. Instead of putting your whole digital life into one single wallet, where one tiny mistake exposes the whole shebang, you compartmentalize. You set up a savings wallet for long-term holding that you practically never touch, a trading wallet for your active moves, a daily wallet for regular, small stuff, and a testing wallet specifically for trying out new, maybe slightly experimental applications.
By splitting things up, you massively limit your exposure. If a scammer manages to connect your daily wallet to your real name, your life savings stays completely disconnected and safe.
But obviously, developers are also building some incredible high-tech privacy shields to help you verify things without exposing your whole life. We are talking about advanced encryption to scramble data, decentralized identity systems that let you manage your own credentials, specific blockchains built from the ground up to protect transaction amounts, and of course hardware wallets, those physical devices that keep your private keys totally offline and away from hackers.
And this perfectly illustrates one of the coolest technological breakthroughs out there right now: zero-knowledge proofs. I know, it sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie, but the concept is actually pretty simple. Imagine proving you are over 18 to a bouncer at a club without ever showing them your physical ID card, your birth date, or your address. You simply use mathematics to prove you're of age. That is exactly what zero-knowledge proofs do on the blockchain. You can verify you're eligible for a service without ever handing over the underlying sensitive, personal data. It is a total game changer.
But look, let's be real for a second. The fanciest tech on the planet cannot save you from yourself. Your daily privacy habits are your frontline defense. Never ever share your recovery phrase. That is the master key to everything. Think critically before you just connect your wallet to some random website. Make it a habit to regularly review and revoke active permissions you've granted over time. And always be on high alert for phishing attempts. Privacy isn't just a one-time software update you download. It is a daily habit you have to practice.
Let's wrap things up with Chapter 5, The Future of Privacy.
The absolute holy grail of Web3 is something called self-sovereign identity. This is a future where you actually hold the keys to your own data. Instead of massive Web2 companies hoarding giant centralized servers full of your personal information just waiting to get breached, you selectively share only the exact credentials needed for a specific interaction. No more massive data harvesting. You become the sovereign boss of your own digital footprint, sharing only what's absolutely necessary.
Which brings me to a really powerful takeaway from the source material we're looking at today. Privacy is not something you automatically receive. Privacy is something you actively protect. I mean, that hits the nail on the head, right? Web3 is handing you incredible tools for financial freedom and digital ownership, but it demands personal responsibility in return. You've got to actively manage your exposure because absolutely no one else is going to do it for you. Your data is incredibly valuable. It is literally fueling the entire digital economy right now. The tools to take true ownership of that data are being built on the blockchain as we speak. But the responsibility to use them wisely, that's entirely on you. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. Your data has value. Who is going to control it tomorrow? Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.